children.
Right.
Oh, your real father had 2 children?
Yeah.
With another woman?
Yeah, he married.
Oh, that's right.
Oh no,
With grandma.
he screwed himself.
Yeah. So you said, are you one of these other he had a daughter too, so you've got a half sister and a half
And
brother.
then I said something like about how I said I said something to her then at that point. Who knows what I said?
All right, so that's...
You don't know what you need to do either.
All right, so she said, no, I'm not. I'm gonna keep swimming. Women weren't mean in those days, were they?
Hmm?
If you didn't like someone, you wouldn't say, now keep swimming.
Oh, well, I was never fast on my feet with thinking.
No, but you didn't like him, so...
No, because I was very infatuated with somebody else there at the hotel.
Oh, at the hotel that you had just met that day or something?
Yeah, well, he was just leaving.
Then I got what was his name?
I don't
Who
remember.
that sang?
Oh, Frank Sinatra?
Frank
He wasn't
Sinatra.
there when we were there. The first time. The first time I
Oh.
was there that I met you, he was not there.
I didn't know.
No, it was very interesting because the guy that I was infatuated with was very, very handsome, very good-looking boy, very.
So is Dad
Oh, the
not
guy-
good?
the guy-
Dad wasn't that good-looking.
Yeah, see, what are you talking about? Look at the pictures of Dad when he was younger.
No, he looked like a. So what happened
Who looked like that?
is this
Some
guy
guy that...
that I liked. I don't even remember his name. He was from Connecticut.
Where? From where? I mean, where? What?
At the Fontainebleau at the same time you were there.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, and he said to me, it was really, I'll never forget that. He said to me, you know, you're such a lovely girl, you know, very beautiful, you're very lovely, and I could really fall for you. He said, and this is, you know, when he walked me to my door, kiss goodnight, that kind of thing. So he pushed me away and he said, you know, what I just said. He said, but my intentions are to marry a very wealthy girl. And he knew my background because I had evidently told him.
You didn't tell me that you had a lot of money.
Yeah. And so he said, I can't see you anymore because I don't want to get involved with you. And
But
you're too
you-
nice a girl. He said, you're too nice a girl for me to have a fling with.
But you just saw him that one day?
No, I had seen him 2 or 3 times.
Oh.
And
And that happened the night before you met Dad or after?
that happened before.
All right.
Because the day I met Dad, I think you and I went out that night, and then he left the next morning to go back to New York.
Who?
Dad.
Oh.
We only had one date, so I didn't know him more than 24 hours.
Also, let's continue the story.
You went home and I was there on Friday.
No, but I gotta tell you the story. The rest of this.
I
Which
stayed
is
up
really
there.
so fascinating. And so now fast forward, 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad and I went to Carnegie Hall, and then after that we went to the Carnegie Deli, I think, or vice versa. First we went there, then we were going to go to Carnegie Hall. And
I
we're
see
sitting
that guy.
there, and that guy walks in.
Who?
That guy walks in
That's
with a
hysterical.
woman,
Yeah.
you know, his wife. And I, never forgot what he looked like. He was very striking. You know, one of these guys with dark hair and very blue eyes. You know, you can't miss that kind of
I didn't
look.
know that. Did I know
Dad
that?
had dark hair and blue eyes.
I think I had told you.
Oh.
And he walked
Who were you
over to
talking
the
about?
table.
He walked over to the table.
Table and said hello. Just wanted to say hello. Nice to see you again. And I introduced him to Cal. And he said, good seeing you. You know, all of this took about 3 minutes. And that was that.
Was his wife pretty?
Yeah, she was attractive. She wasn't really pretty.
Who you talking about? No.
She must have been rich.
Must have been very rich. He was
Who are you
dressed
talking
beautifully.
about now?
That guy that I met at the Fontainebleau before you.
Oh, When did you see it? More than
10 years
We were-
later.
10 years later, you and I were in a restaurant in the city, and he walked in.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It was
You forgot.
really, really something. So
I
that
don't
was
have to
that
remember
story.
it.
That's, I
Neither
thought,
did you.
that was interesting, don't you?
It's interesting, yeah. So what did he do for a living then? He had to marry rich.
I don't remember.
cares? Anyway, so Dad said to Mom, "How you doing? You look like this girl, my cousin, whatever, my half sister. And is your name
Mm-hmm.
Marilyn, whatever?" And she said, "No, it isn't." And then Dad picks it up from there.
You probably asked me out for dinner.
Yeah.
Let's see what Dad remembers.
I don't know.
Okay, so he asked her out for dinner, and then he got her that night. And
You'll never learn if you only try to remember somebody else, and then try to be the same person or like that kind of thing. You got to be yourself. So it's not necessary to say, well, what did you talk to her?
Well, he's curious, Cal.
No, he isn't.
Yes, he is.
Okay. That's what you say. He'll say something that's
So that's the
the
story.
difference. I'll tell somebody.
Dad's right. I'm not. I guess I used to be curious about this stuff. I'm less so because I know what happened because you've told me the story. But you've never told me the story to a very large degree. Everything we're talking about. And you're right, nothing really matters. I'm just doing this because one day, when you can't talk at all, Dad, I'm going to listen to these things.
He likes to listen to what you have to say. And
I
how
want
you
to just
do.
remember because
I don't know why we can't
Because,
figure that out.
I mean, maybe it's more important for me to hear you say that everything will be all right and stop worrying about all the bullshit. Maybe that's all I really need to listen to. But I don't know, maybe one day I'll have kids and they'll want to hear how their grandparents met and
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm not thinking that far, I'm just thinking about,
No, kids don't do that.
well, I'm
Yes,
different,
they
Dad.
do.
Where'd you see my mommy?
Of course.
Oh yeah, of course they do, of course their parents.
I heard the story about how my mother and father met a million times.
Yeah, and Grandpa always talked with such
The
feeling
thing
and
is, you had
emotion.
the kind of background that you didn't hear it. You had a very skewed background, so you don't know.
Oh yeah, I just had a.
You had a tough
one
time,
person.
Dad.
Yeah.
And you know something? We could write a movie about your life. You used to say you would tell me your story for no other reason than that. But now you're less you're less interested in talking about it because it's harder.
Well, you can make a movie, and you know, and I did this, and it was, and after that, what do you think happened?
Everybody dies.
Something like that. Make a movie like that.
You know what? It's 9:30. Oh no, it's 7:30.
Yeah, it's 7:30. Just give me 10 more minutes, then, Dad. Actually, you took Mom out. You had a fling with her, and decided you never wanted to see her again because
No.
you just used her.
Who's she talking about?
We went.
just
He's
used Mom
teasing
for-
you. We went out one night. We went to a Hawaiian restaurant in Florida, and
The Hawaiian, yeah,
And-
big place.
yeah, very good place.
Right by where the,
What's
What?
that?
that's where the
Well, that was in Jamaica.
Horses?
No,
No.
all it was a Hawaiian restaurant where you had Hawaiian drinks and Chinese food.
when the first,
Yeah.
there was
And
something
I
around.
was very obnoxious, which goes to show you that
Obnoxious?
Really? You were obnoxious?
I wasn't interested in her. So I told him that the only way I'd get married is to marry somebody very wealthy.
Oh, you decided to be just like what the guy said?
Yeah, I said, and I would want full-time help from the time I got married.
And I said
this
nothing
and that,
about this.
and he just listened.
You let her. Why did you see her again after that bullshit?
It was
Didn't
amazing.
matter.
And I said,
If I want to have
was,
money for her, I can. And if I don't, I can.
it was the most obnoxious.
But if a woman does that to me, I don't see her again because it shows me that she doesn't like me.
Yeah, well, he saw me on that, and when I stayed in Florida longer than I thought,
Yeah.
A little later, she said, you know, I really like
he
you.
called up my mother and asked if he could pick me up at the airport.
Oh, that was quick thinking.
And my mother didn't know him, so she said no, she'd rather not. And
Oh, you mean you want?
were you the one that sent me a telegram for my birthday?
Mhm.
Yeah, Dad sent me a telegram for my birthday because I was there at my birthday.
In Florida, so he sent you a telegram down there that said, "Dear Beverly, stop." The telegram was written
Yeah.
in those days.
Yeah.
Just want to say, did you save it? Probably not.
No.
Oh, that would have been awesome. What did it say?
And it said
Happy
something.
birthday.
It said happy birthday, and I said, think I said also, if you can you be with me, or can I be with you at this date? That's when I was coming back.
Oh yeah, I guess he said something like that.
I had some kind of a you know,
Yeah, something about
So
wanting to see me when I got
something.
back.
That's great.
Oh, and I also said on my thing, I don't, you know, I'm not looking at you. I want to see what your folks are like.
What?
I said something like, I'd like to know what your folks are like.
Oh, I don't remember.
Something like
In the telegram.
And I stayed longer because they were filming a television show.
Oh, that's.
Oh, wait a minute, was that time you stayed longer than you thought you
Had
would?
they paid for you to stay longer?
Yeah.
That's when they
But
came
I
up
don't
to you
think-
and just approached you and said, "We're doing the Surfside 6."
Oh, that was happened already.
Yeah.
Did they want you to be one of the 6 or no? Or you just
No, I was just an extra.
an extra? That's exciting, though.
Yeah, then they were going to continue filming in Key West, and they wanted me to come with them. That was an interest.
Key West? Where is Key West?
It's south of here.
It's
South of Miami.
Miami, Dad. It's the tip of Florida.
South of
Yeah.
Yeah, you took us there once. It's the most.
But I wasn't interested.
oh, wait, it's right next to
I
the.
never was interested in that
It's
kind
the
of.
bottom of Florida, Dad. If you look at a map, you should have a map always here for him now. That's up on the wall. You can point to it. Florida.
So that was the story.
It's a little group of islands at the end of Florida. You took
Oh,
us
yeah.
there once. Yeah, there's a big long bridge that goes across each
I
island.
took you there.
Yeah.
didn't
People clap at the sunset every night in the bar.
I? Yeah, right.
You took me to John to
Yeah, but
Hemingway's
did I
house.
tell you-
where
did I-
where the wife was short and everybody was little in the house.
Now,
Little,
just
Mice, not mice. Beep beep. Pete.
Little kitchen. There were a lot of cats,
Cats,
everywhere.
yeah,
That's
cats.
she remembers that.
yeah.
There were 30, 50 cats or something. All the descendants of the
They're
Hemingway's
all
cats.
around the place.
It's amazing.
So
to remember that. I
anyway,
wouldn't have remembered
did I
that.
ever tell you that I had no intention to going to Florida at that time?
No.
I never told you that story?
No.
Okay. I had no intention of going to Florida. This was my vacation from working. I was going to go to Puerto Rico. That was the place to go in those days.
Yeah.
And I had a very close friend,
Puerto
Richard,
Rico.
who we were just platonic friends. And I used to go over to his house very often. And his mother was crazy about me. She had 2 sons and she never had a daughter. And she just loved me. And so she knew from Richard that I was going to go to Puerto Rico by myself. And she knew I was shy and quiet. And so out of the blue, she had never called me in my whole life on the telephone. She calls me on the telephone. And she said, "Beverly, Richard told me that you're going to Puerto Rico." And at that time, Puerto Rico had a reputation of having a fast crowd of young people. She said, "You know, you're going by yourself, and Al," that's her husband, "Al and I are really worried about you going to Puerto Rico by yourself. I was nervous enough going by myself. That's all I needed is a phone call. She said, Al and I are going to be in Miami at the so-and-so spa. Why don't you come down to Florida instead and stay at the Fontainebleau, and we'll take you out for dinner every so often, and we'll be nearby, so you'll have somebody. So she scared the shit out of me. First of all, she had never called before. Second of all, I was a very shy girl, and I was very anxious about having made this decision to go to Puerto Rico all by myself.
Yep.
So I guess that influenced me, so I changed my reservation from Puerto Rico to Florida. Now, simultaneously to that, without my knowing it, Grandma and Grandpa had friends. They were like acquaintances. You know how Grandpa collected guns and worked on guns?
Yeah.
So he had a friend, if you could call it that, that also did gun collecting and carving and so on. And every so often, on a Sunday, my mother and father would go to this Italian guy, and they would talk about guns. My mother wasn't crazy about it, but she never liked that hobby. Anyway, as I said, it was an Italian family. And this Italian family had the typical grandmother who always wore black and could hardly speak English. You know, that kind of, and she was always sitting in the corner or sewing or whatever she was doing.
Where?
Never talked.
Where is this?
This is in Brooklyn. The Italian people
you're
lived in
talking
Brooklyn.
about whom?
I'm talking about a friend of my father's who collected guns. And every so often they would go there, they would trade pieces of guns or whatever, scopes or whatever it was.
They never shot them.
Huh?
I don't think they shot them at all.
Shot the guns.
Oh, occasionally they would
Yeah.
go hunting. My father never
I
shot
started
anything.
using them.
And so I guess my mother was always a talker, and she mentioned her children. She mentioned that her daughter was going to Puerto Rico, and you know, because she had I guess it was just a social conversation. She was probably talking to the wife.
This was Richard's? Nothing to
And
do
the
with
little grandmother bent over in black, you know, they always wore black, sitting in the corner, never said a word. All the various times Grandma went to visit that couple, she looks up at Grandma and she said, no. She said, your daughter's not going to Puerto Rico. She's going to go to Florida and she's going to meet her husband there. That's the honest to God truth.
Well, you know why?
Grandma never told me that until after I met Cal and after we got married.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. And the woman never said anything to my mother again after that. She spoke once and that was it. And that's the truth.
And after she heard that, Grandma never tried to influence you to go to Florida? Nothing like that?
No, Grandma never influenced me one way or the other.
You just called her you just called your mom one day and said, I decided I changed my mind, I'm going to Florida.
I was living at home.
Ah, so you just told her one day, I changed my mind, I'm going to Florida?
Yeah, I said, Anne called, her name was Anne actually, Richard's mother, and you know, she made me so nervous. I think I'll go to Florida because Anne and Al.
Who's Ricky?
Richard was a friend
Richard,
of
you
hers.
remember Richard.
Just a friend of
Richard
mine.
Friedland. And so,
Oh, the Friedland. I met them.
yes, and that ended up being, going into business with them for a very short period of time.
Oh.
So, anyway, but the point is,
Was the wife?
life is so strange, and sometimes things are predestined.
Isn't that like the time you were in France? When you met that
France?
woman, she said, I'm 88 years old. I was born in August 8th or something. She's like, everything is fine. You're going to live a long time.
No,
something
I
like
don't
that.
remember
You
that.
said you passed by Nostradamus' house and you passed some old woman
No, I don't remember that.
when you guys were in
No,
Provence.
I don't remember that.
Oh.
Anyway, but this is the true story, and I think that's when I really started to believe that certain things are predestined
Okay.
for some reason.